All right, Coach. Another day in the books. How are you feeling going into today's practice?
You know, we're at that point in the year where it's all about refining things, whether that's technical stuff, which we kind of have time for that. The mental side of stuff is, and our approach is what we're really trying right now, because until we get consistent with how we're going about our daily work, the technical side is not ever going to quite be there. And so that's kind of where we're headed in that direction now. We're focused mainly on making winning plays, having that championship DNA that it takes, and learning to practice with that, not just play with it, because you're not gonna practice at this level and play at that level. You know, you're going to do what you never, as you know, they say all the time, you never rise to the occasion. You only sink to the level of your training, and that training has got to be at a much consistently higher level from a standpoint of championship characteristics than what it is right now. So that's what we're mainly focused on.
Now, you talked about, trying to talk about the championship DNA, what it means to be a winning team. You also talked about that this morning during the classroom session. So kind of run down what you said in the classroom, what you were trying to present to the team, and what you tried to install into the team, talking about that championship DNA.
You know, I mean, we're always trying to pour in their cups. You know, this is not just about basketball. It's much more about life than it is basketball. And I think that there's confusion on that sometimes, and they think that everything we're talking to them is about X's and O's, and it's not. It's about how they react to things, how to let the play that just happened, whether good, whether bad, be that. It's in the past. Focus on what you're doing right now, and move forward in a championship way. In other words, are you focused on what it is that you're supposed to be doing at that moment, and doing it to the highest level of your ability? And we try to tell them that whether if it's good, it's you can't be complacent with that. We had that. I read them some Nick Saban quotes. I'm a huge Saban guy. Just always admired what he's done and how he's gone about his work. Alabama was amazing when he was there, that he got all these 5-star guys to do simple things at a ridiculously high level, and that's hard to do, believe it or not. They want to move on. They could have been doing a lot more complicated stuff. There was no gimmicks. It was just, this is your job, and you're going to perform it at such a high level, and that's not just going to serve you well in sports. It's going to be that way in life too, and we try to instill that in them as much as we possibly can, and that was a big part of the talk today. If you think you've arrived, you haven't, because then you start to get complacency, and complacent doesn't allow you to do things correctly. You start trying to deviate off the path, and that every day you have to continue to progress, and that success is not owned, it's rented, and you've got to pay that rent every single day. That's a big thing that we talk about a lot, and you got to come back tomorrow with a new mindset that you're going to do it again, and you're going to do it better than you did it the day before, and push yourself outside your comfort zone in order to make that happen. And that's a hard thing to get guys to do, because there are no drills for that. It's literally you winning that battle in your own mind of wanting to be take the easy way, wanting to be average, and it's a fight on a minute-to-minute basis when you're out there on the floor to kind of overcome that and focus on the things that it takes to succeed, no matter what they are.
Now, you also talked about what you do on your free time when it's not about basketball. You sit and you study, that 1% that you always talk about in those championship winning teams, those championship winning coaches. Talk to us about some of those personal studies that you kind of go through when you're sitting at home, not worrying about those X's and O's.
Man, you put me on the spot with that one, because I got to recall some specifics. basically, when it's not about basketball for me, it's still about basketball. That's my life, and that's kind of what I do. But I research championship or successful people. That 1%. The people that actually get it done, and study what it is. What are the commonalities between their business success, athletic success, life success, whatever it might be? There is a blueprint. It's not by chance. It's on purpose. I've read books. I started 25, 30 years ago reading books on, by Dean Smith, Coach K, and Rick Pitino, Michael Jordan, Phil Jackson. I've read Warren Buffett. Just different things, all kinds of stuff. I mean, shoot, David Goggins. Different things. Anything you can read to get some type of perspective into the mind of people that have accomplished stuff that's really hard, and especially if they've been able to repeat it. That's anybody can do something once. When you're able to repeat something, you kind of you understand a little bit more of what it takes to intentionally go out and do it again. And so, that's what I do in my free time. Is I can watch a regular TV show, and I'm watching it to learn about different styles of leadership, or how to deal with a certain kind of person in a certain way, and that type of thing. And, it's a hard thing to do, but that's the way I go about my day and my work. And it's not always fun to most people to hear about that, but it's what I like to do.
All right. And then last but not least, a couple weeks away from tip-off, what are you feeling, as the time's winding down, that clock's coming down slowly but steadily, work is still need to be done. So how are you feeling so far?
It's a balls call right now. I mean, if people knew what, in our program, they know what that means. It's 3 weeks, a day under 3 weeks away. And it feels like it's a runaway freight train coming right at us, and there's just not enough time in the day to get stuff done. It's complicated by the fact that we have guys that have got to leave early every day for class, so they're missing out on time. And then also, with injuries, we've got a lot of guys out right now too. So, but that's that is what it is, and it's going to happen. We've got to get next man up. Everybody 1 through 15 has got to be on the same page and be able to execute at that level that we need them to. And again, as a coach, you just don't feel like you have enough time to instill the things they need to in them before that first game. And and I've been doing this is my 19th year here, even, and almost 30 years of college basketball. And not one time have you ever felt ready. You just kind of do what you can, control what you can control, and put in as much as possible that they understand, and then you work through the rest of it throughout the course of the year. But we'll be where we are, and we just got to figure it out and get it done. No excuses.